All right, welcome back to, I think, the third installment of cooking with a thru hiker. I wouldn't bother looking back into the old videos because this is going to have everything you could ever want. This is my entire cook kit. Just a small peanut butter jar and a plastic spoon. It is as simple as that. So what we're talking about today is cold soak recipes or stoveless recipes. You see, my entire cook kit, I have absolutely no stove. You don't need a titanium pot. You don't need a stove. You don't need a big canister of fuel. You don't need a windscreen. You don't need... It's like cooking, but without all the extra faff and without all the extra weight. So another huge reason that I continue cold soaking, and that whenever I do carry a stove on a thru hike, it always frustrates me endlessly, is because when you're cold soaking, you don't have to find fuel. You don't ever have to play that game of how much fuel is left in this can, how many more days, how many more boils am I gonna get out of this? Do I just replace it now? Do I carry 2 cans? Do I buy that larger can, or do I wait to see if I can find a smaller can? There are no stupid games like that because all you have is this simple little jar. So another reason that I prefer cold soaking is because it's more time efficient. All you have to do is add your meal to this jar, add, I don't know, a few ounces of water, wait 5 to 30 minutes, and you can eat. So what I mean by efficiency and faster is in that 5 to 30 minutes, I keep hiking. So I'll get another mile, another 2 miles, another 3, 4, 5 miles, while my food is cooking by itself. So while the stove user has to stop, they have to sit down, they have to set up their stove, they have to boil their water, boil their food. I am now 5 miles up the trail in that amount of time, sitting down and eating my food, which has been cooking in my backpack as I walked. So it is much faster, much more efficient. You're gonna get more miles out of the day when you cold soak. So we've talked about the benefits of cold soaking, of stoveless cooking. What are the downsides? I mean, obviously, this is not for everyone. So one of the big downsides is also one of the benefits, is the efficiency. If you are out and you are hiking and camping with some friends, this is not going to be a very fun or social experience. While everyone else is cooking their meal and hanging out, your meal already cooked 30 minutes ago, you've already eaten it, and now you're just sitting there doing nothing. So this is just not really great for, group backpacking trips or for very, very social hikers. Now, although I have tons of recipes and tons of options surrounding me that I'm about to get into, the other downside is that there's just not as many options as if you were going to cook your food. I mean, if you have a stove, if you have a metal pot, the options are truly endless. You can cook just about anything in the grocery store. So with a cold soak setup, you just don't really have as many options, which is partly why I want to make this video to begin with, to give you a lot of other recipes and options. Now, another downside is, a lot of people just want to have that warm meal, so if you're one of those, then maybe this isn't for you. So cold soaking isn't for everyone, and you should do what you love doing. But who is going to benefit most from cold soaking? I think, first, in general, thru hikers. The longer the trail, the more you're going to benefit from that lighter weight setup, from that faster, more efficient setup, from not having to find fuel canisters in town. Whereas the inverse is also true. If you're going out and just doing 2-day, 3-day backpacking trips, you are never, ever, ever going to have trouble with fuel canisters because you're going home in 2-3 days. Whereas the thru hiker, the longer the trip, the more appealing cold soaking is going to be. So before we get into our recipes here, I want to tell you the secret of cold soaking. I am never going to cold soak just this couscous. I am going to add raisins. I'm going to add tuna. I'm going to add sun-dried tomatoes and sunflower seeds. So when it comes to cold soaking, never, ever, ever just make the ramen, or just do the couscous, or just do the beans. Always ask yourself, what can I add to this? Okay, let's get into recipes here. So all the stuff that you're about to see, I have found at your average grocery store. So that was one of my main goals with this, was finding stuff that you could find while you are out on a through hike. So the first recipe we're talking about is beans and rice, because this is something that I do more than anything else here. It's super, super cheap. It's very easy to make. You can find these at a lot of different grocery stores, and it's a very hearty meal is what you're gonna get. So first, looking at the beans, these are Mexicali Rose instant refried beans. Another company to look for is Santa Fe Bean Company, and I will do about 3 to 4 ounces of these refried beans. I will do about 1 to 1.5 ounce of this instant minute rice. This cold soaks really, really well. I will add a little bit of taco seasoning or fajita seasoning or chili seasoning. I mean, whatever your favorite seasoning is out there, then you can add them to beans and rice. And then when I'm out on trail, I'll just add that like 5-ounce mixture into my peanut butter jar. I'll add some water, and this in particular will take about 30 minutes to rehydrate. But remember the secret of cold soaking, that you want to add more to it. So what I like to also do is about 1 ounce of olive oil. Olive oil has tons and tons of calories in it. I carry a bag of Fritos. These are essentially just corn chips, or very similar to like tortilla chips. And that takes my beans and rice mixture and it gives it some crunch. It gives it more variety. It makes it more interesting. At Walmart, I found these tiny little hot sauce thingies. They're made by Melinda's, and you could carry this out with you to add to all of your meals. You could carry out a block of cheese. The harder the cheese, the better. The harder the cheese, the longer it will last. A lot of cheese is going to survive in your pack for like 2 to 3 days. So again, you can take this beans and rice mixture and make it something very interesting and nice. So beans and rice is one of my favorite hiking meals ever. So maybe the sound of collecting all these ingredients for any of these recipes at a grocery store does not sound fun to you. I wanted to include one item that is just ready to go right off the bat. So a company I've found that is very, very stoveless friendly is PackitGourmet. They have an entire section on their website of food that only requires cool water to cook it. It's incredible. They have like 15 different options on there, and all of them are really good. So my partner and I got a ton of these for our upcoming 800-mile through hike because it's just ready-made. You know, I don't have to seek out all of these ingredients. I can just buy this packet and I'm ready to go. I don't even need to carry my peanut butter jar because I can just add water to this packet right here. So I'm going to be eating predominantly these while out on my Hayduke Trail through hike this year. So PackitGourmet is awesome, and they have so many different options for cold soaking. Right here, I have curry mango chicken salad, I have deli smoked roast beef, and I have trailside bean and cheese burrito. So basically, beans and rice, but pre-made, don't need to find any of these ingredients, and you're good to go. So a lot of these look great for both dinner, but also for lunch. You know, I mean, curry mango chicken salad, put that on a tortilla or something and have that for lunch out on a hot day. That really sounds wonderful. So I'm super excited to be eating these pretty much every day of our Hayduke Trail through hike, and I definitely think you should check them out yourselves if you want to get into stoveless cooking, because you know right out of the box it's going to be ready to go and it's going to be good. Now the next thing that I'm going to talk about is couscous. This is ultimately what got me into stoveless cooking to begin with. And with stoveless cooking, it wasn't really for me in the beginning, and it was couscous that changed my mind. I think these days something like PackitGourmet is definitely the way to go to maybe change your mind, but this was what changed mine. So couscous by itself, not so great, kind of bland, not really my favorite thing. But again, when you add stuff to it, that's when it becomes wonderful. So near East Brand couscous, and my favorite type is the toasted pine nut. About 10 minutes and it's ready to eat. And then from there, I like to add raisins to give it a nice different texture in the couscous. I like to add different kinds of nuts. Right here, I have sunflower kernels. I think those are really great in couscous, especially with the raisins. I like to add a tuna packet, and I like to add some sun-dried tomatoes. So couscous is definitely next up on my list of favorite and easy backpacking stoveless meals. Now next up is going to be the Ramen Bomb. A Ramen Bomb is a packet of ramen and about half a packet of powdered mashed potatoes. This is a staple in the thru hiking world already, but it cold soaks really, really well. Cold soaking ramen alone, not really for me. Cold soaking powdered mashed potatoes alone, not really for me. But there's something about combining the two that actually makes it really good. I did this a lot when I was on the Great Divide Trail, a 750-mile thru hike. I was eating this pretty much every single day out there. So a Ramen Bomb rehydrates really, really well and is better than you would think. Because at face value, something like this sounds disgusting. And I agree with you. I didn't want to try it for many, many years. And when I finally did, I was kind of blown away. We can add some hot sauce to that to make it even better. You can pack out some cheese to add to it, which is going to make those mashed potatoes so much better. You can pack out some bacon bits. I think bacon bits are a wonderful little addition to a lot of these meals. So I think that's a really great option. It's one that you're gonna find all over the place and one that I think is worth trying. Now, basically what I do for breakfast every single day is oatmeal. These little instant oatmeal packets. Much like everything else, I don't stop there. I like to add these carnation breakfast essentials to it, again, just for extra calories, extra nutrients. You know, with this, you can also add the raisins that you have for your couscous. You can add some nuts that you have for your couscous. A lot of times I'll add like walnuts and stuff like that. So the base, of course, is these little instant oatmeal packets. And then you can add these dried fruits, the raisins, the craisins. You could buy little pitted dates or figs. You can put nuts in it. You can do the carnation breakfast essentials. You could add coffee. You could add hot chocolate powder. You could add peanut butter powder to this. You know, so there's so many different things that you can add to spice it up to make it different every single day. So that is pretty much what I am doing for breakfast every single day that I am out on trail. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is something that I did on the Pacific Crest Trail all the time, and it's what I call Hikertrash Pizza. So Hikertrash Pizza, that is taking some kind of flatbread or some kind of naan, and you put some cream cheese on top of this, and then you put some pepperoni on top of this. So some Hikertrash Pizza, taking some naan or some flatbread, adding some cream cheese on top of it, and then some pepperoni on top of that. It's a very hearty meal or very hearty lunch. I think on the PCT, I was mostly doing it as a lunch item. Now, my next recipe kind of feels a little bit similar, but definitely different. It is taking some tortillas, spreading peanut butter on top of those tortillas, packing out some bananas and putting some banana slices on that peanut butter and tortilla, and then adding some chocolate chips on top of that. So you roll this all up in your tortilla and you have a very good sweet and savory lunch or dinner option. So again, just another really fun option that you can do while you're stoveless. You know, something you definitely don't need to cook. Now, the next recipe isn't really a recipe. It's just something that I want to recommend, and that is packing out real food from town. You know, so here I have a frozen burrito. I pack these out from gas stations, from convenience stores, from grocery stores all the time. Just a frozen burrito that lives in the outside of my pack. Another thing you could consider is if a town has a Subway or if a grocery store sells pre-packaged sandwiches, you know, that is a real food. You know, it's not a Snickers bar. A lot of people out there just eating Snickers and Cliff Bars, and here you could be eating a burrito or you could be eating a sandwich that you packed out from town. Another option is pizza. If you have a gallon Ziploc, go buy a large pizza from town, pack it out in your pack, and it is going to be awesome when you're out on trail. You could even use your little Talenti jar or peanut butter jar to pack out some leftovers. Maybe you went to that Chinese restaurant while you were in town and you could buy an extra meal to then put in your jar and bring out on trail. So frozen burritos, pizza, sandwiches, leftovers, I think are all really, really great things, great options if you are stoveless. Now, before we end the video, my final secret to stoveless cooking is to buy a dehydrator. If you own a dehydrator, if you can find a dehydrator on Facebook Marketplace for cheap, the possibilities are truly endless if you have a dehydrator. So basically, that is what PackitGourmet has done. You know, they probably have a small warehouse or a small home just full of dehydrators where they are cooking up these delicious recipes to then package it to be able to cook stoveless while out on trail. You know, so if you have a dehydrator like PackitGourmet, you can create amazing meals just like this yourself. So that is like the end-all be-all of stoveless cooking. You know, you don't have to go to the grocery store and find these weird ingredients. You can go to the grocery store and buy real ingredients. So anyway, that is all of my favorite stoveless recipes. These are all staples of my diet when I'm out on trail. These are all things that I've been doing for nearly a decade now and very much so enjoy. Now, I know that this is not even scratching the surface of stoveless cooking. So in the comments down below, I would love it if you left your favorite stoveless meal. I am leaving on my 800-mile through hike of the Hayduke Trail in about 3 days from now. So by the time you see this video, I am probably already out hiking and eating all of these delicious foods myself. So anyway, thank you, and I hope to see you guys very, very soon.